Jerry Libin, who will talk a little bit in a little while. Thank you for being here. We have an exciting program for you today. And for many of us, we are on boards and we do work with nonprofits, and some of us don't. So what we're going to hear from today is the importance of that, how beneficial for these very powerful women that took their time to be here today, that it benefits them professionally as well as personally. So we're going to hear some of their stories and learn a little bit more about that. So I'm going to turn the program over. Jerry, do you want to? One of the benefits of tonight is that the proceeds are going to our Education Foundation. And one of the projects of the Education Foundation is the Links program. And I'm going to let Jerry tell you about that. It was one of his crazy ideas, and we love him for that. So
thank you, Deanne. And thank you all for being here tonight. As Deanne mentioned, all the proceeds from tonight, every dollar that you paid, the $10 you admission, there must be 70 or so of you here, maybe more, are all going into our Education Foundation to support a new project that our board approved called the Links Project. What the Links Project is designed to do is to fund grants given to teachers in all 8 schools. You may or may not know that there are 8 schools in what we call our feeder package. So there's one in Bay Harbor, there's one in North Bay Village, and 6 schools, including the high school here in Miami Beach proper. So the Chamber's Education Foundation, which is our not-for-profit, is going to raise $100,000 so that we can give 24 grants to teachers each and every year, beginning in the next school year. And those grants are designed to fund supplies. They're micro grants. They'll be between $300 and $1,000, where the teacher will write a grant and say, for example, a science teacher would love to offer some new program, but needs a microscope for $700. School doesn't have it. They could apply. If the principal approves the project, the Chamber will consider funding it, and we look to give 24 of those grants each and every year. So we'll be raising $100,000 by the end of this year. So far, before your dollars are counted tonight, by the way, we're at $31,725 already. And the reason it's called the Links Project, this is kind of neat. The reason it's called the Links Project is because we wanted to demonstrate the linkage between you all, the business community, the Chamber, and education. And we're going to do that physically. How we're going to do it physically is we are selling links for people who would like to buy a link and present it when we close the street between the Chamber building and the high school. It's 2,000 feet between those 2 buildings. So in December, when the kids are on right back from school break, or right before they go on school break, we're going to close Dade Boulevard between the 2 buildings. And everyone who purchased a link for $50 or more will have an opportunity to hold a 1-foot-long paper chain link. The art teachers in all 8 schools are busy making them with their students. So we will have 2,000 at $50 a piece to raise the $100,000. And we will film that. So the police will close the street, and we will be standing shoulder to shoulder with 1,000 students from Beach High who will be holding the links together, and we will physically demonstrate the linkage between us, the business community, and education in our city. So that's the idea of the Links program. We appreciate your support here tonight. Anyone interested in finding out more, it's on our website. You can click to donate if you'd like to. Send it to your friends. They can click and donate through PayPal, and we'd appreciate that. Before I let you get on with the program, I do want to call Michael S. Goldberg, our chairman of the board, up to say a few words of greeting. Michael?
God, you can do better than that. Come on. How many men are in here? I think there's only about 8 of us, okay? So this is why I came. I knew the numbers are going to be in my favor. Thank you, Jerry. This is a great event. And I just want to show by hands. Okay, at the Chamber, we have members, and then we have prospective members. We don't have non-members. Who is a prospective member? Raise your hand. Okay, and there's probably about 5 or 6 that just didn't want to raise their hand. This is what the Chamber's all about, okay? We're in the summer months. I got news for you. The Chamber does not go to sleep. We have over 250 events year-round, every single month. Go to the Chamber's website. It has all of our events. If you're not a member, I highly encourage you to join us. I'm born and raised on the beach. I'm a native, one of the few. Been on the board of the Chamber 23 years, took over the chairmanship in October. and the Chamber is rocking. We are doing a lot of business. We are helping our members meet the people they want to meet, to get value-added benefits for their memberships. We've got great leadership. Deanne is the chair of my Bill of Trustees. She's awesome. I appreciate the support that she does. I've got great council chairs, so if you're not a member, please join us. I do want to recognize the sponsors, some of the sponsors for tonight. One of my board members, Maria Johnston, AT&T. Giuseppe from Promo Trade. Giuseppe, where are you?
On the line.
And Norma King, Norma in the back. So, you know, this is a great event. We appreciate you coming out again. Get involved. There's a lot. We have an event July 11th, the Pillar Breakfast with State Representative David Richardson at the Alexander. You don't have to be a Pillar member to attend. It is a cost event, but go to the website and you can come to that event and get a little bit of a taste of what the Pillar trustees are and what a great job Deanne does with my Pillar trustee board. But thank you for coming, and I look forward to seeing you at future events.
Thank you, Michael. And one sponsor you forgot to mention was Raina from Pulse International. Raina, are you here? No, she didn't make it yet. Okay, but we thank her for her sponsorship and her support. None of this could happen without the support of our members, so we thank you very, very much. And for those of you who may not know, the Women's Business Council meets the third Tuesday of every month. The Women's Business Roundtable, 8:30 a.m., the third Tuesday. So ladies, we welcome you, and men, you are also welcome. We are women-focused, but men-friendly. So we appreciate your coming out. So now, at this time, I would like to introduce Laura Bruni, Executive Director of the Arts and Business Council of Miami, who again, I thank you so much for helping to put this wonderful program together and your amazing support, and I look forward to the program as we all do. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. I've been so excited to be part of the Women's Business Council. Deanne is an amazing leader, and if any of you are not part of that, I recommend that you come. It's one of the most invigorating committee meetings I've ever been to. So if you're not part of that, it's a really great opportunity to network, to learn, and to grow with each other. So I'm going to open this exciting program about serving on a nonprofit board. The Arts and Business Council, we are going to be celebrating our 30th anniversary in 2015, which we're excited to say. And I have actually been with the organization for 26 years, so I have been the director for a long time and seen a lot of growth, and our growth is exponential, so we are really excited about the future. The arts are a billion-dollar industry in Miami-Dade. The arts have a huge economic impact in our community, and if any of you are interested in volunteering in the arts, becoming a board member in the arts, sponsoring the arts, we are the people to see, because we work with over 500 nonprofit arts groups. A lot of people don't even realize there's over 500 arts groups in Miami-Dade, but we have a ton of interesting, wonderful groups. We have some really highlight groups like the Perez Art Museum and the Bass Art Museum and the Wilsonian here on the beach, and of course Miami City Ballet on the beach. But we also have a ton of small and mid-sized groups that are doing great work. So you can visit our website. My marketing director also has some cards that she's going to have available as you leave, and they'll be on the table, so please pick one up so you can get more information. But today we're talking all about the importance of nonprofit boards and why it benefits you as business people to be on a board. It's not just altruistic to be on a board. Most people get involved with the community because they want to get something back. So there are tons of opportunities for you to get involved on a board in this community. There's thousands and thousands of nonprofits that really need your participation. So people always ask me, what does a board do? We have a new website called artsboardmatch.org, and if you go on there, you can see a list of over 60 things that board members do. But I'm just going to give you the bullet points of what a board does. The board basically is the governing body of the organization, of a nonprofit organization. The staff does the work and the board sets the policy. The board has fiduciary responsibility, which means that you're responsible for setting the budget, you're responsible for helping bring in the income, and also for making sure that what the organization's budget does is realistic. So if the organization has usually had a budget of $200,000 and then they decide they're going to go to $500,000. It's really the board's responsibility to say, you know, is this realistic? Why are we growing like this, and does it make sense? The board also sets policy, long-range policy. What is the mission of the organization? Are we maintaining that? And the board also does all of the outreach for the organization. So it's not just about bringing in money. There's a lot of boards that you can bring on where your skills as a business person, your circle of influence, people that you know and you can bring to their performances, to their events, to the organization, has a great merit to a lot of organizations. So there's a lot of misconceptions that you have to have really deep pockets to get on the board. Now, if you want to be on the board of a major organization, they do require a fairly large gift to be on the board each year. But like I said, just in the arts alone, there's 500 groups, and there's also thousands of other nonprofit, health, human services, environment, that are eager for your participation. So what are the benefits that you get from giving this time and service and industry and your time and talent to an organization? So the first thing that you can get is networking and business development, which is usually the #1 thing that business people and entrepreneurs look for. If you're trying to sell board membership to your higher ups in your organization, a lot of times they're going to ask, you know, who does the organization serve? What kind of people are you going to be meeting? So if that's important to you, that's the kind of questions that you want to ask before you join. You want to understand who are their clients, do they do events, and if so, who are the kind of people that come to those, and are those potential clients and potential customers for your organization. There's also great opportunity as a board to be an insider in the organization, and then you get the opportunity to hand select the sponsorship opportunities that make the most sense for your company. So sponsorship, for the most part now, is not charitable, but it's marketing. It's a way to reach new clients, it's a way to endear customers to you, it's a way to get visibility for your organization. So there's also that is a great benefit once you're in an organization. A board membership also provides you with an opportunity for professional development. You learn leadership skills, you learn about budgeting, you learn about teamwork, you learn about working together with others. So it's a great opportunity to hone your skills. It looks great on your resume. So it's really good to include that kind of information. A board also is a great opportunity for you to get involved in the community, beyond the organization. If it's something that you're passionate about and that you really believe in, serving on a board gives you the opportunity to make a difference, that you really are doing something meaningful, you're changing the community for the better. So being on a board really helps you develop that kind of opportunity to make a big difference. And that's why it's really important that you're passionate about whatever organization you choose to serve on. Because there is time involved, there is energy involved, there's some talent, there's some in-kind donations involved. So you really need to care about the organization and really be passionate about what they do. The other opportunity that you have as a board member is that it gives you a great opportunity to meet with people in the business community, elected officials, government officials, in your role as a board member, but that might have a role in your business. I know a lot of board members that will set up an appointment with somebody that they've been trying to reach to pitch a sale to, but they can't get in the door because they don't want to hear a sales pitch. But they can get in the door when they say, I'm on the board of a group, they're really doing great work, I'd like to talk to you about it. Of course, when you go in those terms, you have to start by talking about the organization. I mean, you don't want to do a bait and switch, but it gives you a great opportunity to meet people that are on your hit list and to get to know more about them. It gives you an opportunity to go in and pitch them on your own business and also on what you're doing good in the community. So I really encourage those of you that aren't on a board to jump on board.
Good evening, I'm Sheila Duffy-Lehrman. I'm a member of the Chamber, a proud member of the Chamber. I sit on the board and now I just was appointed to the executive board and I'm really honored to do so. I can't tell you how rewarding the membership has been for me personally and for my business. I am forever grateful for the support and the friends that I've made. Well, I think that Laura has given us a pretty well-rounded 360 view of why we should consider participating on a nonprofit board. So what I'd like to do as the moderator this evening is to give these wonderful women the opportunity to talk about what the reality is, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because as all of us who are busy and working, before we do commit our time, talent, and treasure and take time away from our families or our business to participate, there's a lot to consider, and you want to ensure that it's meaningful engagement and beneficial for everyone, so that it's a win-win. So with that in mind, I'd like to ask each one of these wonderful women, who you may already know, to introduce themselves. I'll start with Althea, just to quickly introduce themselves and give us a quick hit list of the boards that they have served on.
Thank you. I'm Aleta Player with Florida Power Line Company. Let me tell you a little about my job first, because my job affords me the opportunity to serve on the many boards that I serve on. I work for Florida Power Line. I'm an area manager in external affairs. So what does that mean, right? It's a good title, but what does it mean? It means that I'm responsible for managing relationships and issues with with cities and county government. You know, my company has a lot of projects throughout Miami-Dade County, and there are always hurdles that we have to overcome in some form or fashion. There's always some ordinance that's being introduced. There's always some dollars that they're trying to attach to a particular project. So my job is to ensure that these projects come online with zero negative impact. And that's a tough challenge. How has the board, serving on boards, helped me to accomplish that? It's all about relationships. You know, just as Laura pointed out earlier, the many boards that I have served on over the years has really helped me to develop relationships outside of my company. We're a big company, but this is a big county. And having these relationships has opened doors for me where I can talk to these people. I've developed many friends. And I think it's a lot of work. It's not an 8 to 5. Oftentimes, some of these folks are not available until the evenings. I sit on boards that some of these elected officials or key stakeholders, they're right next to me. So I have easy access. It is demanding, but it's also rewarding because again, we have a huge challenge and my job is to ensure that there are zero negatives, no dollar increase, as well as bringing that project in on time.
Lilla, if you could just give us a quick introduction of yourself and your board service.
Hi, my name is Lilla Garcia, and I was making a list of all the boards I belong to, and it's embarrassing. I belong to 8 boards. I work at 8 boards, and I have 5 more that I've rolled out of. So you say why? Selfishness. I do it for me. I do it for my job. Let me give you a little background. I started as an art teacher. So the gentleman here who was talking about the programs that the Chamber is doing for the art programs in this community, that's why I started participating in boards. I had my first job was in Liberty City in a really tough situation with a budget of 0. So I had tons of talented kids. I said, okay, I gotta get things for these kids. So I started a talent program, which became the granddaddy of New World, Dash, all these magnet programs. Again, the budget of 0. So what did I do? I went to the nonprofits. I went to the chambers. I went and begged, can you get me tickets for this organization so I can go to the museum? Can you get me a bus? Can you get me this? And they all said yes. So I said, well, I need to pay back. So I started joining boards. And all the boards that I join are boards that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about the arts, and I'm passionate about health. And those are the things I do. I work for the school system. I moved up from art teacher to art supervisor to director. So when I left the school system, I was responsible for all the electives and all the special events in the school system. And if it wasn't for the boards that I worked with, I wouldn't have had the success Because today, I can get on the phone and talk to any president of any organization, any bank. I can talk to attorneys because I've worked with them in committees, I worked with them in projects, and all for the betterment of our community. And I'm very proud of what we've done. Thank you.
Maria?
Okay, so my name is Maria Johnston, and I work for AT&T. I'm Regional Director of External Affairs, and that is a long title, and basically what it means is, like Aleta, my responsibilities are to develop relationships with the local government. I represent AT&T and the AT&T Foundation in the local community. And in addition to that, I'm also an internal lobbyist for AT&T in Tallahassee, so that is one difference that we have in our jobs. I do lobby state legislators on behalf of our company. And so I sit on, like my partner here, I sit on 7 different boards. 3 are foundation boards, 1 is economic development, and 3 are chambers. In addition to that, I sit on another 6 either advisory boards or committees. So I'm pretty busy. AT&T does allow me to do this. That is my job. It's how I build relationships, just like Aleta does. It's been an incredible experience. Every single board is different, and every single board teaches me something new every single time I go to it. So I'm enjoying it. I've only been on boards really actively for the last 3 years. Prior to that, I was on my association board, and that is totally different. A homeowners association board is totally different than these types of boards.
And Abby Chase is just running a little late, so she'll be joining us. And we'll have her introduce herself when she comes. What I want to try and do is get through these questions as quickly as possible so that we can get through as many questions as possible and leave the floor open for your own questions. So, most of you are volunteering because of the position that you have. And we know that board participation strengthens your leadership skills. But give an example of how they were particularly sharpened, or what was your turning point when you realized, wow, okay, I'm a world beater now, or I can make a transformative difference. You know, when you first start on a board, you may be a little quiet, you might be the church mouse on the board, but eventually you move forward. Give us some examples of when you realized you really were strengthening your skills as a leader.
I think for me, you have to decide what role you want to play on the board. You could be a member where you only attend the board meetings, which typically is once a month. Sometimes they're even quarterly. But if you really want to become engaged, if you really care, if you really have passion for the organization, I would encourage you to become involved in a committee. Find a committee that works for you. An example would be, I too serve on about 5 chambers, and along with a number of other organizations. I'm interested in what happens in the governmental committee. You know, I try to manage my time effectively, so I tend to join the governmental committee on every chamber, right? So I can become highly skilled and knowledgeable of what's going in the governmental sector for each of those 5 chambers. So that works, you know, for me. However, I can remember joining the North Dade Chamber several years ago, and there was so much work to be done in that chamber. The chamber was doing very well, but I saw the opportunity of what that chamber could become during its time. And you know, you try your best to suggest, to encourage. That wasn't working. So I became the chair. And boy, what did I do? But it was very demanding, and I chaired that chamber for a couple of years, brought about some significant changes. So when I see the chair of the different organizations, and being a chair is volunteering. So when I see the chairs of these different organizations, my heart goes out to them. You know, I'm inclined to do whatever I can to support them because I've sat in the seat. You have to remember, all these people are volunteers. You don't have the power of a pencil as you do within your organization. So it's a challenge to get everybody on the same page, but boy, is it rewarding when you do.
It's interesting that I'm sitting on this panel because my experience is very different than these two other ladies. They work for organizations that expect them to be out there joining boards. The Dade County Public Schools couldn't care less whether I joined the board or not. So it's a different story. I had to take my own time and my own energy to show up and be counted. And the trade was what I learned. And let me tell you a real quick story. I was on the board of the New World School of the Arts, where David Lawrence was one of the committee members. If you don't know David Lawrence was the editor of the Miami Herald and now the Children's Trust, and David Lawrence is a special person. And I was in a committee with him. One of the things about being on a board is if in a job you have a boss, you know, everybody has a boss. In a committee, everyone's equal, which is a wonderful experience. So here's David Lawrence. And we're interviewing for deans for the New World School of the Arts. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this master person interview these people. Boy, I was taking notes like crazy. And what I learned from him, I still use today. I am the best interviewer ever, ever. And it's all because of what I learned in this little committee from this man who is a master. And that's just one little example. Fundraising. What you learn, I'm on the board of the Miami Children's Museum. The chair of that museum is the best fundraiser ever, ever. I mean, a gallon for the Children's Museum raises $500,000 easy, maybe twice that sometimes. So what I learned from him, I can take on to my own personal, other boards, other organizations, or my own personal job, and use those skills. I am so much of a better person from what I've learned from these organizations.
So by the time it gets to me, everybody has said everything. So I have to kind of think through this. What I've learned from being on boards and what's really stuck with me that has elevated the way that I feel as a leader and as a community business leader has, it's been I've been on 3 organizational boards where there has been a lot of problems with the CEO or some other board member has gone to the media and had said things that they really didn't have the authority to say, things like that. And when I first got on the boards, I was very quiet and basically learning. I wanted to watch what everybody else was doing. I was trying to make sure I didn't, open my mouth and start my foot kind of a thing, because these are business leaders that are sitting on these boards, and I didn't want to embarrass my company. What I came to the realization during this craziness of these 3 different organizations was that everybody else on those boards was very similar to me. They were all learning. You learn every time you go to a board meeting. And so during one of the major issues with one of our local organizations, I chose to step up and approach the funding organization and address the issues and bring in the CEO with us. And I realized that I did that on my own. It wasn't like they said, Maria, we need you to go do this. I took it upon myself. I was able to do it. And that taught me a huge lesson, because up until that point, I don't believe I would have done it on my own. So yes, my company does ask me to join boards. They don't demand it. I join the boards that I want to join. They don't tell me to join a specific board. The boards that I'm a member of is because I still want to be involved. and it's a great experience. I do have some nonprofit boards as well as business boards that I participate on, and the nonprofits is because I want to be there.
So if you had the chance to appoint your own nonprofit board, how would you populate it? Who would you choose to serve?
Do I go first again?
Yeah, you can go first. We can reverse it. You know what? Let Maria go first, because
That's what I was thinking as well.
All right, now that's even just as hard.
be careful what you wish for.
Now I gotta think faster. Okay. So, oddly enough, I would definitely pick people from different sectors because they really bring that different thinking, that different thought process into the picture. And I'm in telecom. I've been in telecom for over 30 years, and I thought that that was the only way to run a company because that's the only company I've ever really worked for. And then you meet somebody who works in healthcare, and you meet someone that works for Florida Power and Light, or somebody who has their own business. And every single person has a different idea or a different way of thinking. So I would definitely bring people in from different sectors. I believe that that truly makes a great board. Different experiences.
I agree with Maria. First of all, I love to work with people who are different from me. I'm also a team player. I want team players to work with me. I don't want prima donnas. I don't want people who want to sit and put it on their resume that they were on this board. I want people who want to make a difference. So that's my number one thing: passion, a little bit of want to make a difference, and commitment to the goal, to the mission. I'm mission driven and goal driven. So when I join a board, against selfishness, I have goals and I have a mission, a personal mission. I want that organization to have that same mission. You know, if I'm interested in culture, I want to work with people who are interested in culture. They can be lawyers. I work with tons of lawyers. I work with tons of accountants and people, CEOs of banks, but they have this passion for the arts. And also I have a passion for children. So I also want a little bit of, not children, but empathy for our community. So I'm looking for people who want to work and want to make a difference.
I agree with both ladies, but I'd also like to add, and this is based on my experience serving on the Women's Fund Board, a wonderful organization. And I served on that board for 6 years. And probably in the 5th year, we decided to allow men to serve on the board. And wow, was that a wonderful experience. All of a sudden we had 2 men on the board. And they think, there's a few of you guys in the room, but you think differently than we do. In addition to the diversity that's been offered, bringing men on the board, bringing people that will challenge me, bringing people that will force me to think outside the box. I don't want to populate a board with people that are yes people. People are just there to make me think that they agree with me, because oftentimes they don't. But some people, and you need to think seriously about this, don't go on a board and just sit there. These executive directors, many of them are very, very good people, but they too can learn from each of you. And most of them are willing, the good ones are willing to learn. But, as Maria indicated, some of the boards are more challenged than others, but that's what we bring to the table. I've had some experiences similar to Maria as well, and I think it's up to us to say, wait, hold up. Let's think about this. Have you considered? So I say in any type of organization, there's diversity in a number of different ways.
So what advice would you give? We can start with Maria. What advice would you give someone who's considering serving on a board? What kinds of questions would you encourage them to ask before they make that kind of a commitment? Because it is a commitment.
It's a major commitment of time. I would want to know, because you choose a board, but a board also chooses you. So you have to know what the board expects of you. Boards bring people for different reasons. They want your money, they want your expertise, or they want your name. So you have to figure out what do they want from you, and are you willing to do that? If they just want your name, do you want to do that, or do you want to work, or so you need to know what's expected of you. I also want to know fiscally what is, what's the fiscal. If I'm on the board, fiduciary responsibility, I want to know what the fiscal outcome or view of that board is. Is it raising money? Is it financially stable? Is it in trouble? So I just want to know. It doesn't mean that I won't join a board that needs fundraising and needs help, but I want to know. And then I also want to know leadership. I want to know about the executive director. Is it a person who is a worker? Is it a person who is respected in the community? I want to know also if this is a working board. If it's something if it's a board that just wants a report or just wants to look pretty. I want to know because I'm not interested. So those are the kinds of things I would ask before I join any board.
So definitely the first thing I would ask is the executive director. I would meet with them for lunch and make sure that I feel very comfortable with the way that they're thinking, where they're going to move this organization. I want to make sure that what I feel and what I want to do is going to be aligned with what they want to do. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough road. Secondly, is there a personal commitment from a dollar perspective? Because you only have so much money, and if you have a corporation that can assist with that, great, but there's also a personal piece in some of these boards. Not all of them. Some of them require personal dollars, so make sure you ask that question. I always ask for the bylaws. You need to read them, because if you don't read them, you may be getting yourself in trouble just by joining the board, and you don't have to do anything. You need to read those bylaws. I've gotten to, at first, I wasn't reading them. I thought, oh, okay, this is a reputable board. I started reading them because I realized that all the meetings were being recorded, and I had no idea. So you tend to watch yourself more when you're obviously being recorded than when you're not. And so again, those are really key ones that I would definitely ask.
I would just add and say, consider, are there any conflicts? Especially those of us that work for major corporations, are there any conflicts with the board that you're considering and the value system of your company? That's critical. You don't want to find out after you've been inducted, from your corporate office, how could she have done that? Because that's embarrassing. And also, they may not be able to provide any financial support because of that conflict. Also, who else sits on that board? There's 6 degrees of separation. You may not know any of those people on the front row, but I bet I know somebody that knows those people. So I think you got to do your research. My reputation is all that I have. That's what I bring to the table. And I'm not about to blemish my reputation if there's something going on in a board where they haven't been forthcoming. Every executive director is not the same. So you have to do your homework to make sure that you're proud to say that I'm a board member of this particular organization.
That's very good.
We all know that you can serve on a board with or without portfolio. And I think that it's really important for people to learn what that actually really means or entails. So, let's address the issue of responsibility. And if someone's really interested in participating on a board and interested in growing their influence, or at least trying to make a transformative difference or an impact, what advice would you give them? And you can put it in the with or without portfolio answer. The with or without portfolio would mean I have a function. I'm appointed to the board to perform a function. I have a portfolio of duties. So sometimes those are defined within an executive board. Sometimes they're defined within the overall board and the committee structure. And you kind of have, my recommendation, I sit on 6 boards, one of which I have absolutely no idea how that happened. But actually I do them really more for altruistic reasons. My business commitment is with the chamber, and I think this is the best chamber for business. But everything else that I do are helping young women who are aging out of foster care, or mentoring young women who are in juvenile detention, which I actually have no personal commitment with. But when you're asked to serve and you ask yourself some hard questions and you find a connection, I think then you have to ask yourself this question, and it's, what am I willing to do? What role can I play? And can I make a difference? And so if you have people out here considering serving on a board, what are the kinds of questions that how did you find your place? And when, you actually have a choice.
I'll give this a shot. If you're not with a company that suggests, encourage, or require you to serve on boards, and it's something that you're just this great community person that you want to give back, right? What are you passionate about? A lot of times you don't necessarily need to come with a portfolio. You come with the willingness to work. You can volunteer before you decide to join a board. How about volunteering? And I'll go back to the Women's Fund, which is an organization that I adore. We encourage volunteers to participate with several different activities along the year. So you get to peek in the window to see what it does. And we have volunteers that come back every year, and they want to do more and more. They don't have the time to commit to monthly meetings, they don't have the time to sit on committees, but there are specific activities that the Women's Fund does that these women, very busy women, travel all the time, but they have a passion about a particular event. So I don't think you necessarily need a portfolio. You come with a willingness to work. The other thing I want to mention is, if you're considering a board, ask the executive director or whomever is courting you, does the board have insurance?
Yes.
That's important. Because there are boards out there where sometimes the board member may sue the organization. And are you protected? Are you exposed? So to what extent does the board have insurance? What are you liable for? Especially if you don't work for a corporation, if you're sued, what's my exposure? That's a critical question.
Boy, I couldn't agree more. And we take it for granted. That's why probably we didn't mention it before. So I'm glad you mentioned it. I don't think that you need a portfolio to serve on a board. I think you need to be involved and interested and willing to do a little bit of everything. And then you develop your portfolio. I'm on the board, I've been on the board of the Coconut Grove Art Festival for 1,000 years. It feels like 1,000. I came in with an art education background. I am now responsible for accepting, rejecting all the artwork for the Coconut Grove Art Festival. All the artwork that you see in the Coconut Grove Art Festival, I was responsible for choosing that work. I didn't come in with that portfolio. I developed that portfolio. I looked, I worked, I volunteered. What you said is perfect. You work in committees. You work in committees, and you have a chair of that committee, and they help you, and you move, and you learn, and you build that portfolio. All you need to do is have that interest. That if you're not in, I tell people sometimes, it's if the shoe doesn't fit, then you throw the shoe out and get a new shoe. So if you join a board and it doesn't fit,